Good evening, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. It is about 5 to 8 Friday evening, Friday night, so to speak, August 22nd, 2025. I've got some thoughts. So there's probably a little bit of more background noise than usual. My dehumidifier's on, as is a fan. Just trying to keep some air moving around because it's been really warm this week. And even this evening in the studio, it is pretty warm. So while I don't normally work in the studio on a weekday evening, it is Friday. And I've been spending a lot of time sitting at my desk playing games, not really doing much, and also not making a lot of videos lately. So I just really felt compelled, like I have to do whatever I can to force myself to work on things in the studio, even if it's not the projects that I'm supposed to be working on. Speaking of which projects I'm supposed to be working on, I don't remember the last time I even did a vlog, so I don't know if this painting was even in the works yet. But if any of you guys watching are on my newsletter mailing list, you guys have the full story for this. This is a similar styled piece to a series of pieces, a couple of pieces I've done over the years, where there's sort of a central tree of sorts and like two sides and everything like that. This is for a show. This is actually the first time I've ever submitted to a show and didn't have the piece done in advance. It will be in October, so I have plenty of time to finish this before then. But this is this idea of was it loss, joy, and pride? I think were like these three emotions that to prompt artists to work on stuff. And I wanted to play this with this idea of the loss of one side of your life and moving to the joy of another side of your life, which is very much kind of where I am right now personally. And interestingly enough, in being in that sense for that piece, I'm finding myself starting to do some other little pieces again, because it's been a while since I have done them. I've been messing around this tonight. This started with lighting's always weird down here. Chalk pastel over top of some other layers I was doing months ago, and then some ink layers on top of that. So this is sort of becoming one of these little side project mixed media pieces. And in working on that, I realized that I haven't really done a bigger canvas mixed media project in a while, where I use like text pages and stuff like that on canvas and then flesh things out from there. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you guys this particular thing. I'm kind of just waiting for certain things to dry before I trim up the edges and continue here. Still want to go as slow as possible, and also realizing that my soft gel gloss that I use to do this is running low. So I will probably be doing what should have been a spring Blick haul online, got bumped to summer, and we're leaning into fall now. So I'm overdue for a big shipment. I've been buying a lot of stuff in stores this year, but I need a good specialty trip. Anyway, let me show you guys this. So these are all pages of, I know there's a handful of people that watch me that are fellow Catholics that might be familiar with the Magnificat, which is, for non-Catholics, this is essentially a daily prayer book, but it also exists on a subscription model, kind of like a magazine. It's very strange. All the ones that I have like, I don't know, 50 of these from when I was late high school into college. This one is from January of 2008, so I would have been a senior in high school when I got this. And so it's scriptural. There's a lot of things about God and sacrifice and faith and all kind of stuff in there, and saints, and I use that as a basis, almost like a collage, and so to speak, to lay out a bunch of different pages. And traditionally, as I have done pieces like this, I've been doing, again, pretty much as long as I've had these, I have been making art with them to some degree. I'd say from freshman year of college onward. And what I like to do is find a phrase within one of these pages to use either as the title of the piece or the motivation for the piece. And I found as I'm going through all of these and laying down pages, I love doing like bigger blocks of text in the middle and the more highlighted red stuff towards the edges, because it's more prayer segments and psalms and stuff like that in between. But this section, I was like, I want to do something different for this. I want to like, take a highlighter, highlight a phrase, and try to make that like the center point for the piece. So up here, I took a green highlighter before I put the page down and highlighted acceptance of ourselves. In between this piece as well as the other one, that is very much, it seems to be the theme that has led me through my summer. I can't trim too much because it's still wet here, but like these edges here that are hanging down, I need to trim off before I can do anything else. So this idea of acceptance of ourselves. So I have to be a little bit cautious here with this vlog. There is a video that has been on my mind to make this year. Given current United States political climates, and I'm not a political artist, I don't claim to be, I don't want to be any part of that, but given things that have happened in the past few months, I'm very quickly reaching a point, almost a boiling point, I could say, of like, there's stuff about my life that I have never shared on this channel that, for better or worse reasons, could, in theory, get me both more viewership and also significantly less. And there are things that it's like I don't talk about for very specific reasons. I try to avoid faith stuff, although this piece sort of warrants it a little bit. And I'm not afraid to talk about those things. I just don't, because I don't want to alienate individual creators for one reason or another. That said, the idea of self-acceptance is something that has been a big part of my life in the past couple of years. And while I will not say the thing that I will eventually need to, I think, I also know that if I am to continue as an artist, at some point I will have to bring it up. So that idea of self-acceptance, as I've highlighted, acceptance of ourselves, being the theme for both this piece as well as what I'm working on for the show, I think kind of goes hand in hand. Like a piece like this, whether or not, actually I would say definitely not, I definitely can't use it for that show because it wouldn't have fit the theme. The acceptance of self does not really fit the theme of the monstrous emotions that show is supposed to be about. But it is, this piece I can already tell is going to be so much of a visceral self-reflection, which is difficult. It's difficult to talk about stuff like that. Again, because my art is very go out and have an adventure kind of stuff. And while I don't want to necessarily invalidate the neutrality of what my work is on a regular basis, at a certain point, things do reach a point where you can't ignore them anymore. And you have to, whether that be one thing or another about yourself or someone you know or what have you, if you just bury stuff forever, you're only doing yourself a disservice. And I've realized that a lot in recent years, just because it's like, how do you, like, so much with the philosophies that I was raised with, it's like, how do you justify the stuff you know with how you feel? And that's a very difficult road to walk, and that's a lot of what has in many ways been why I have not been painting much this year. going through such a viscerally deep emotional transition in my life has kept me from a lot of my artistic passions. But I'm reaching this again, like it's this boiling point of just being like, I have to paint. I have to do something to clear my head, because if I spend too long in my own head, it's both bad for me and bad for the my friends and family when things different ideas come out in weird places, so to speak. Also, if anyone guesses the silent thing I'm not talking about in comments, I won't deny anything. I'll be like, hey, you guessed correctly, whatever. But again, it's like it's got nothing to do with my brand artistically, and I don't want to alienate other people in any capacity. That has always been my prerogative about this. So when it comes to more sensitive topics, it's like I'd rather just focus on the art. I don't want to be a commentary to anything political or divisive. But at a certain point, life intersects with art and career enough to where you can't ignore it, and you just have to say something. So that's kind of where I've been at. I know a lot of you guys don't want to. You're just following me for the tips and stuff like that, but I know that you guys follow me for the vlogs, likely care a little bit more about my personal experience that drives into the art, and I do hope in sharing my experience when I do that can be a form of liberation in and of itself. I spent a lot of time kind of being afraid, and I still, to some degree, you're afraid of what people think of you, and people seeing you in different lights, and people cast judgment, and especially online, it's really easy to jump on a bandwagon and just want to be part of a crowd or something, or get attention one way or the other. Artists in any capacity are people seeking attention. It's like, look at my stuff, look at my stuff. I want you to think I'm special for one reason or another. And that's a tough road to walk in any capacity, artistically or otherwise. But if there's any value in this vlog, I would just encourage all of you to, be who you are unapologetically as much as you can. You will find your tribe, so to speak.
No one cares that you're 35.
And as much of modern short form videos like TikTok and Instagram Reels, and to a slightly lesser extent YouTube Shorts have taught me, is that there is community for be as weird as you want to be, because there will be a community for you out there. It might be a bunch of disconnected people from every continent and every country in the world, but people will like what you do if you are honest, if you are unapologetic, and you are willing to. There's a popular thing where it's like, say the weird thing. I want to say, do the weird thing. Be the weird thing. Be the weirdest, best person that you can. And who knows? Maybe in 10 years you'll have a semi-successful YouTube channel. That's where I'm at. As I have survived the waves of different YouTube eras. Not because I was trying to do one thing or the other. It's like, I'm just being the weird dude that I am, and that's good enough for me, and it's good enough for, I think, all of you guys too. I should probably stop rambling. This could go on forever, but I'm not going to let it. I'm just going to finish this edge and tell you guys to keep on creating. Stay inspired. There's the other part of that. And I'll see you guys next time.